Florida. And I am welcoming to you tonight. I wasn't able to be here last week because I was ill. So now I am back. And tonight, our title is going to be The Darkness Underneath the Skin. So we'll be discussing all of that here shortly. And for those who are just now tuning in that haven't seen my scary face before, I'm Mark Elliott Fultz, the Fast Psychic. Of course, live near Pensacola, Florida. And I have a little store, and I've been in metaphysics since I was 18. I'm 62 now. And of course, I have to cover all my bases. I was murdered 32 years ago and came back from that. And that really started my journey into exploration and channeling and mediumship because it aligned me spiritually, mentally, energy wise. And up until then, I was from the age of 18 to 30, was studying metaphysics in groups and things like that. And in the old days, in the covered wagon days, and we'd saddle up our horse and go to a meeting. But now, after my catastrophic event, which it did change, it was what needed to happen. It happened, and it altered me into, I wouldn't be the person I am today without it. So it was worth it. It's just, it's rough. It was a rough change, but it was worth it. I mean, in the end, it makes you who you are. And if I think about who I would have been maybe without all of that, I have no clue what would have happened to me. Um, because I had so many other things going on, I don't know if I would have been strong enough to make it through it. A lot of people, death is not the thing to be afraid of. It's life. And I've had a lot of hard times, just like you, like everyone out there. So when I use my life as examples, it's not me going, "Oh, poor me, I had a bad life." It's to show you I went through these things, but I lived and I function and I thrive, and you can too. So you have to not get taken in the undertow of life. You have to keep yourself afloat. You have to be able to tread water. I just found out someone we knew from when I lived in Chattanooga. One of my really good friends, Bruce, his uh, brother is married to a lady, and Donna, and they just had a catastrophic loss. Just a catastrophic loss of a child. And I remember that child, I mean, when Bruce went into the next veil, he left money for us to go and do a celebration and to take his ashes to a place in Florida. And that was 7 years ago. And the little boys that were with us, I mean, they were really fascinated with ghosts, and I'm afraid I scared them too much. But because the place we were in was very haunted old mansion. And to think that, a child, he's not, well, I mean, he's a young man, but still like a child to me. Um, some people make it so long, like me, and further than me. And then there's some people, that don't make it 10 seconds or don't make it 20 years. Little, and it's, you got to do what you can do while you've got it. Yeah, so I send my sympathies out to that family. Um, I'm very sorry for their loss. And when I talk about my death experience was it was horrific. I mean, getting there was horrific. But the death process, when you start, the death process, really, the near death, in the gamma, you have what they call a gamma oscillation, which is, you see the lights, boom. You see the people, boom. You see the stuff downloading, boom. But you have two oscillations. You have the oscillation, the first one, and everything downloads second oscillation. If you're going to stay, you stay. If you don't, you're moved on. You've moved on to Jesus. So my experience was death was a great thing. The problem is there's great loss and mourning and pain that goes with death, and it's not anything you can ever explain to anybody. I mean, I've had dear friends who've died or been murdered or whatever. There's some that have died. That we were kind of, we knew it was coming. Then there was some that was murdered that um, you didn't expect. Someone still a prime person, still a viable person. Um, Another friend of mine, Sin Schrader and Susan Hill, Susan lost her child, Wyatt. Wonderful child, wonderful man. He was just becoming a man. He was just about to graduate. Very handsome, very sweet. Died in an accident. You can't make sense of it for people. So when I talk about my experience, I hope at some point you can understand that when death comes, because it comes for us all at some point, that it's a great thing for the spirit. It's not a great thing for the people left, but the spirit is, I mean, there can be hesitation and sadness and everything on their part. It's not their fault they have to go. It's like you don't have a control on that. Let me tell you what, if you think you do, you don't. And if it ain't your time, you can forget it. Because when I was going, it was my time. They wanted me to go. I mean, the insurance clock was ticking. And they were like, oh, here, put him in there and let him go. Quit feeding him, let him go. Did all the things they should do to let me go. Didn't happen. Then if it's your time to go, you have no control on that. So I think people get very angry at those who leave sometimes. And it's not that they're leaving. They had to go. They had no choice. It's no different than being born. It's being born backwards. You're being born into the other side. So, and in these times with everything we've got going, so much anger, so much going on in the drug field, so much going on with people who have no empathy for anyone, period. We act like that's a modern standard. It's not. I mean, people have always been like this. Now they just have a budget in electronics. But it's pretty bad right now, for the mentality. So, the person when you die, you have to assess your life. And the people who you left on this side have to assess their loss and what did you bring to them and what was your relationship to them and In my older years, I've learned to let people go. When I was young, I couldn't let go. I couldn't because I was so lonely anyway. So when somebody I knew would die, it was devastating and I couldn't let them go. And now it's like you gotta let them go. They had, this was their run. Now, and you gotta go on your run. And then one day they'll be saying, "Well, what happened to you? Where did he go? Where did Mark go? Where did who and then you become the a name amongst the sea of names. And within 100 years, most of us are forgotten. Sometimes within just a few years. And there's so many forgotten out there that weren't known to begin with. So, uh, when it is their time and it goes, try not to hold them at blame for dying because they can't help it. Even if it's suicide, if it's not your time, you can forget it. Uh, but the chemicals and the problems and the depression and the anxiety and the you must fit into this box or you're a failure or we're not going to accept you or you know you have emotional issues, mental issues, you're not particularly good at learning. It doesn't mean people will. I mean, when I was young, they would just call me stupid, and I wasn't stupid, but they told me I was, so I thought I was, and I had to retrain myself. I just wasn't a type that could go into a school and learn because I was so had such a rough life outside of the school. I couldn't focus in school, and I just didn't get a good start. I didn't get a good anything. So I did my learning on my own. So I have an intelligence of my own, but it wasn't something that I learned in school. All I learned in school was to be afraid, um, how to avoid bullies, because I was called stick because I was like this, you know, you know, really, really skinny. And then had to be afraid to go home, and then, so in between there, you never know what someone's going through. And I know people that knew me as when I was young, they weren't hanging out with me or anything, but they knew who I was. But they thought, oh, he must have a good life. They've got a great house, they go and do this and do that, and it's like, it just, you never know what's going on in a person's life unless you're them, and you can't hold them responsible if life doesn't work out. And you can't pressure them to be something you want them to be when that's just not who they are. It's not going to make it better. You can't make them fit into a mold they weren't made for. So, life is kind of like you make a jello and you pour it in a mold and you hope it gels. And if the one they gave you doesn't work, then you have to remold your own life. And if people don't like that, then, uh, if they love you, they should accept you. But if they don't accept you, that may not mean they don't love you, but it also may be beyond their capacity, or it may be something outside of their field. So we have to look at everybody and go, oh, well, that just didn't work, you know. And if you run into people that life is treating them badly or treating you badly and they can't, it's just the wrong timing, which happens all the time. They may see you in reflection. They may see you're part of their life in reflection years later. So you have to be so flexible. And at this age, since I'm going toward the I'm going towards a part of life right now where it's like I have to be very flexible, and I have to go, really, what did I think about in life? Do I really want to carry that luggage any further? Do I really want to drag that body of grief? Grief is like a body. Do I really want to drag that behind me? And when I started cutting those things loose a few years ago, wow, it just changed everything. So I hope that in your life you can learn what you do need to focus on, and the things that, even though they're important, but there's not much you can do about them, maybe you can compartmentalize them or move on from them. Because sometimes there are people we love, 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 but it just doesn't work for whatever reason. Maybe it's a past life thing. Maybe it's just not this time. And it doesn't mean you won't see them again and fix it. And then there are some things you can never fix. Sometimes there are things you can never make happen, even though it may be what you want, you know, to the center of your particles. You just want it. You want them. You want the love. You want to know them. But sometimes it doesn't happen in this life. So that doesn't mean it won't happen again, or that you won't see them after this and go, "Ugh, you know, well, that was special on the other side." But what we're going to talk about tonight, the darkness under skin. Hmm, that sounds very nefarious. But all things dark are not bad. All things light are not good. That goes for people who pass themselves off as light with an agenda. People who are dark, who um, may, in the grand scheme of life, may not be bad or something, but they just have a darkness. They just have an earthiness. There's darkness and there's earthiness. There are some people who anger is the darkness, sadness is the darkness. There are some people, the strength that they have came to them because of in a very rough way, so they can be very brusque or very rough, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. And the people who are light, I've known quite a few light people who that light can burn you when you're not careful, because you know it's very tricky. It's all about intent, and it's individual. It's each person, each thing. So I'll try and talk to you about circumstances about what I consider dark and light, and what I consider earthy, and instinctual and stuff. I mean, we all have both. And you really have to have a balance of both, because they both have their lessons. And a lot of people, when I was coming up in the world, they thought, oh, there can be no bad in your life. You can only be, sunshine and rainbows. Well, if you've lived a real life, you understand there's a lot of sunshine and rainbows, but there's a lot more less than sunshine and rainbows. But that doesn't mean you can't look for the sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. As a matter of fact, if you can create that in your life and not have the negativity, great, wonderful. And for most people in their lives, they have sadness, hardships, anger to deal with, things to deal with that um, are in our nature. It's our spirit's part to rise above it. It's like this vehicle we're in, this body, the soul, the spirit, are a light that come in from the consciousness. And it is a light, and when you die, that light goes on. That light is always there. Boom. Third eye. Boom. Aura. Boom. The vehicle we are in is made out of minerals. Really, literally, almost literally. Whether we're made from dirt, when we die, we turn back to dirt. And we will turn to dust. We will turn to, except for a few that have been pickled so well that they just kind of stick around. Mostly, we turn back into the minerals that we contain, which is like, iron and, all the vitamin B, all the different vitamins, all the different chemicals. But we really are akin to the earth. We are a part of the earth. And when we're born, we all have magnetite, iron, in our third eye, and it's mostly the highest concentration is in the third eye, no one has been able to tell me how all that gets in there, but it is in our nature to have it. But we have all that iron. We have all these other minerals. And the iron and the minerals control our fields and help us communicate and help our third eyes look beyond and be our CAT scan and help us through our lives like a torch. So that's a positive mineral in our life. And it is stimulated between the pumping of the blood and the iron in the blood and the circulating. It causes that friction and, it lights up the other iron. So, we just, we're very earthy. We've gotten away from that, but we're all very earthy. And we came from a lot of earthy people. And the religions and stuff that are out nowadays, they want to try to make you think you're above all of that. Oh, if you're earthy, you're a pagan, which they mean pagan to be beneath you or something bad. Well, it's only bad to certain religions because it's not them. Because they have a construct and it fits into this little box. And paganism is, I used to be offended by people thinking I was a pagan because I was metaphysical. Um, but I dwell upon the hearth. I'm a heathen. And that's what that meant. One who dwells upon the hearth. And I come from a thing of where, yeah, let's take the herbs, let's take the vegetables, let's take the water, let's take the air, let's connect with the earth and let's feel the wind. The other day when we had a huge storm here, I was standing out in the windstorm, and wow, it was so wonderful to feel that ancient self. I always feel my ancient self the best in either the ocean or in the wind or sitting amongst the forest, in Chattanooga, the trees and in the fall, and I feel my thousands of selves, that have walked this way, walked over the water, walked over the sand, walked over the stones, walked over the leaves. Um, I feel such a part of that. I've never lost that. I don't ever want to lose that. And the good thing about metaphysics for me has been um, it just, I know my roots. I know my light up here. I know where, where it's aimed at the consciousness. My roots are into the ground, and my leaves are, you know, the outer part of my aura. So I have my own tree. I am my own tree. And when I was a child, I loved to get in the dirt and play. I loved to look at things and explore the leaves and the undergrowth, and because the dirt is fascinating. The darkness beneath. We see the grass on top, we see the flowers, but you wouldn't have any of it if there wasn't the dirt beneath. What is the dirt? The dirt is all of the things in the earth that have lived before that have degraded and now turned into dirt. And upon that dirt gives life. Dirt is actually something that came from death, death of the leaves, death of the animals, death of the people, death of the trees and plants and whatever it took. And now it gives life. It's fertile. It's full of minerals. It's full of oxygens and carbons and everything. It has a little bit of everything. But you have to have that darkness for the grass to grow. The grass isn't going to grow if there isn't some nutrient beneath it. Oh, the the tree cannot hold onto its roots into the ground with no ground. So that darkness, beneath that darkness, is the center of the earth. And the earth, the dirt, is like the flesh of the earth. And beneath that is the heart of the earth. And that's where you have the lava and the magma and the movement. And, when it hiccups, something cracks. There's an earthquake. Um, when it has an upset stomach, tsunami. Same thing with us. When we don't feel happy, our center is not happy, then this flesh is our earth, is our dirt, and it's covered with the skin over it. But we wouldn't have any depth if we didn't have um, our interior self, our interior um, earthiness, our mineral form, as I call it, mineral vehicle, really. And we produce dirt. We eat wonderful things that are alive, turn them into something that is alive in a different way. Things that so everything we do recycles if we're lucky. And the same thing with the earth. We do the same thing everything else in the earth does. It dies, it lives, it dies, and it goes to feed the future. Except now, we close ourselves off in little tin boxes and pickle ourselves in formaldehyde that gets us, we think, going to keep us for years like that, in pretty condition. But it's really meant just to get us through a week full of, so someone can charge $10,000 to $12,000 for preserving you and sticking you in a casket. And then if it leaks, then it's pies and we still become dirt, but we don't get to be released into the dirt around us. We don't get to become part of the dirt, part of the earth. One thing I probably will look into, if I can, I want to look into composting. so that when, I die, I can be composted and then mix me with flour or seeds and throw me somewhere, possibly in someone's face. Who knows? We're thinking about that. Or even the ashes, put under a bush or a rose or in Chattanooga, I loved lilacs, but here, they can't have a lilac. But my need to be part of the earth is I think part of my ancient self. I think that's part of the Celtish, the Welsh part of me that I yearn to be a part of the earth, and as a living person, I yearn to feel myself in the energy fields of the earth. The other day, after last week, I had finished up 9 days of hiccups, and it was triggered by medicine I was taking that did not go well. So 9 days of hiccups may sound funny, but they're very painful, and people do die from them. And I have a weird system. I have Marfans, so those kind of weird things happen. And it'll split your aorta, or it'll make your heart stop. It'll, anything. So, you're spending those days going, well, I mean, before I went to the hospital, my partner was going, you're gonna die. And I was like, I was floating in a hot tub of water to relax my muscles to try and quit hiccuping. And I was so tired, and I was floating there, and I feel like a leaf. I was just seeing myself floating in the ocean, and I was like, oh, well, it's all right. If that's what happens, that's just what happens. And eventually they got me to agree to go, and I went. But I was so tired that I was ready to go. And I mean, I'm not ready yet. I'm still got some things to do. But if it had happened, believe me, I couldn't have done anything about it. But as soon as I got over these, I went and I got in the cold ocean. A lot of people aren't getting in that ocean right now because it's cold. But it's the best cleanser. It's the best um, balancing tool. It's like going through a tuning fork. So I went to the ocean, got in it. Oh, wonderful. So now, but I'm still exhausted. You keep going. But um, I'm drawn to the earth. I'm drawn to the water. I'm drawn to everything that's earthy, like that. And that scares a lot of other religions. They go, you have to have a certain thing, and this person, and you have to focus on this person. Well, in the universe, I feel like the consciousness is something that encompasses everything, and it encompasses us as well. So when I'm down, or when I'm sad, or I'm upset, or angry, I try to find my balance and remember it's all a lesson, it's all there. And when I was in a religion, when I was young, raised in one for until I was about 30, I just went through so much. Um, you know, they it was spouting positivity, but what they really were saying and saying to you and about others, it was very detrimental to me, and that's from my experience. And I thought, no, and that's why I think people are moving to the old ways a lot more because it works. You know, there's the consciousness. Here's this consciousness. You have a connection to that consciousness, and you must build that relationship. You must, I think it's good to believe in something bigger than you because it is bigger than you. And we are like blood cells going through the veins. The earth is an organ. It's not just a planet, it's an organ in a functioning physical universe. And and it's a particularly Important one because look at it. It produces its own air and water and heat and cold, and it produces oxygen and that everything. It creates its own little greenhouse, so it's a special thing. And when I first got into metaphysics, the first group that I was around, I was drawn to it. But of course, I was coming out of being very abused. So I had to learn what life was. I had to walk on my own feet. But I was very innocent in a way, and not so innocent in another way, but very idealistic. And if somebody was nice to me, I just, I was so desperate for friends, I guess. I would just overlook things, or, until later on they would go, oh, you know. So the first group I got into, very powerful leader, very powerful, very talented, so creative. We had a great time the first few years. Great. I learned so much from this person, but their ulterior motive was so dangerous that when and it stuck up on me. I didn't know, I was like, do, 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 do. And oh, they wouldn't do something like that. And I was wrong. I was young. I was stupid. And when you're young, you can be stupid because your soul is learning and your spirit is learning. So you don't always have it all. That's what you come here to do, is to go through this. And that person, with all the wonderful talents they had, all the talent, all the energy, all the creative stuff. I mean, more creative in one little pinky nail than most people have. And but they were always angry. And they ended up that anger was very deep in their dirt. You know, your dirt, yourself, your inner self can be like potting soil. It can be very fertile. It can be give life, or it can be poisonous. It can cause death of things. If there isn't enough nutrients, whatever you plant in it is not going to live. And unfortunately, this person was so angry that he turned that in, and he really tried to hurt everyone, and including me. One of terrible stuff. And a person I just adored, I loved. This person worked on water for so long for me, or I thought. And then when they really became who they really were, um, I was only looking at the outside. I thought I was looking deeper, but I was just looking at what they were projecting. So it taught me to look deeper into their soul, into their soil, the soil that's in the body, because we are nothing but soil. We are like a gummy bear, an ectoplasmic gummy bear full of stuff. If your soil is hungry, and it's draining you, and it's draining other people, and it's not replenishing, then whatever you plant dies in that soil. If you see your soul and your body as earth, and even though if you have a bad life, you want to be productive, you want to be, life and love can come from that soil in your soul. So who are you? Are you a plant killing kind of soil? Or are you a life giving kind of soil? Are you are plants and vines of love coming from you, or creativity? or your trees withering, or your roses aren't quite doing it. The creativity, the beauty, the art, everything goes. If you don't tend to who you are as a living earthy being, it will deteriorate. Now, in metaphysics, because of, people deal with energy. We understand energy. We understand here's this thread and this thread of energy, and we put these together to get a result. Boom. But you can have people who see, I can take this, and I can destroy their lives. Or, because I'm unhappy, they need to be unhappy. And then that's all you begin doing. And then it's a hunger. A negativity is a hunger. It is a never ending hungry hole. And your soil becomes drier as you become angrier. And this person, the less that he got, because he wasn't putting anything into the universe, he was just taking from the universe. Because first of all, he was unattractive. He got women. He had women. He had a wife and all this. But he was mad. He just wasn't gorgeous and couldn't just get everybody he wanted. And he was mad because life was shortchanging him. Well, it gave him a lot of opportunities, but I saw him through treating people bad, doing bad things. He lost every opportunity that he loved, that he should have cherished. So it taught me a lot. And it also taught me to look past what is on the surface. Because even if you think you know, you have to know. And then after I was attacked and murdered years later, then I was able to see into someone's electromagnetic field. I was able, with my CAT scan, to look at people beneath what they were projecting. And it was such an important lesson. And I saw people who really used bad things when they shouldn't have. If you go into Christianity or metaphysics or anything, and you go into it to hurt or control someone, that's a negative. You cannot control people. You might, for a little while, be able to maneuver the boat the way you want it, but you're dealing with them on a spiritual level. If you're going into it for the bucks or to manipulate or abuse those people, it will splash back on you, just like an outhouse. And it's like, because you're not giving, you're being sweet and trying to take, but you're not giving. But you might be taking energy from them, but you're not producing any positive energy in you because you're feeding your negative. So you have to assess what you're doing that's not working. I try to assess what I'm doing that works, and I follow that. And then what isn't working, I try to figure that out. Because my ultimate goal is to be creative for myself, to be creative to others, to make opportunities for others. And but I'm a pretty tough customer. I've had to be put through the mail so much, and sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. And used to be because of where I came from. I was just trained to be a doormat. And it took years and years to get over the doormat thing. And so when people start to pull things with me, and I go, no, I'm not doing that. And they can pitch a fit. You can lay in the floor. You can kick your feet. You can eat a bug. I ain't doing it. If it ain't for me, I ain't doing it. Now, I'm also not averse to making myself very uncomfortable or putting myself in bad situations to help someone sometimes. And I've done that. And I don't mean like in a bad situation, but I mean, to do something that other people would not be comfortable to do to help. And sometimes it helps, and very rarely it was, no. You know, there are just sometimes something you can't do. There's some things you cannot do, and you have to let them go. And I think that's being an old tree and some old dirt. I think that's a good thing for me. Um, but but what you're wanting to flower in your life, that's make sure that you're not full of crap, that something's growing out of the crap, but that you can be objective with yourself and make sure that you are giving good direction for yourself and others. And so many people are driven by anger and hate and greed, and um, those are the hungers. Greed is something you'll never feel. If you are greedy, I feel so sorry for you because you will never have peace and quiet. I've watched people who had, and I'm a poor person. I really am. I've collected things over the years, so if I look fancy, that's but I'm really very poor. But I would rather be poor little me than I've known someone who had was making $400,000 a year and the most miserable, angry, angst-ridden little troll you have ever seen. And I would be like, why can't you be happy? You have two homes, you have a boat, you have a BMW, you have a business that's beating the drum. You know, not happy, not happy. And now they're dying, so not happy. I'm poor, I'm struggling, like a lot of people. But guess what? I'm happy. You know, on the weeks when I'm feeling better, I'm very happy. I'm terribly happy, but I'm a calm happy. I like calmness. I like music. I like peace. I like to draw and create. And then when I'm in my store, I love the thing I love about my store is that it's open to the outside. So, you know, the wind, the storm, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I don't love that it leaks at the moment. They're fixing that. But, because we had this big storm the other day, yesterday. But when I'm there, I'm going, wow, you know, it's so mystical to be able to work and be where you can feel the breeze, or you can feel the sun, or you can see life outside of a room that you're in until from early morning until dark. So, and a lot of things grow in the dark. Um, these people I was talking about, um, I will say the name of the person. I haven't said it. They've died a long time ago, but I will say it. Stuart. He was so everything. He made everything kind of like a cave, and he made everything like he was like a worm energy. But then, when I started seeing him doing the bad work he was doing and the bad magic he wanted to get into, that was not for me, you know. But I thought, wow, and then when you would go in his basement to go to the laundry or do whatever, you'd see these things down there that he was scared of, and it was his stuff. And I go, what are you doing, But nothing you could do would change that. And it killed him. It gave him leukemia. It gave him he died from leukemia because it ate him. And that's a part of the earth too. We have to be careful what we do feed, and you do have to tend your garden so that the insects and the things from underneath that are fed by negativity don't eat all of your good things. And unfortunately for him, it killed him. Um, but that was his choice. The other person I was talking about that had a huge business, that was his choice. It wasn't my choice. You know, it's not my choice. My choice is, I'm going to throw everything I can at the wall, and if it sticks, great. If it doesn't, great. You know, I feel like I've learned so much. It would be great. There are some things I want to accomplish, and I'm going to try. But I feel, even at 62, I feel like I haven't quite finished blossoming. Here we have in Florida, we have something called a century plant. It grows 100 years. Then, right before it dies, it shoots up a little pod, sends out the seeds, and dies. And I feel like I feel like I haven't quite gotten ready to that last section, but I'm heading for it. So I'm trying to keep my garden tended and my dirt and my soil rich in creativity. Look at someone like Dolly Parton. Look at the creativity from that woman. Movies, music, um, creativity, helping others. Her prayer every day is, I want to have enough to share and enough to spare. And look what her positivity has grown. And the people she grew up with, the religion she grew up with, kind of rejected her because she was so against what they thought you should be. And she has her own spirituality. She has her own connection to God, to the universe, to whatever you want to call it. And such an inspiration from a girl who came from nothing. Almost just bowls of hot water, you know, for soup, hot water soup. Um, and is one of the richest ladies, around. One of the most creative ladies, one of the most gracious ladies. If we could all be like that, oh my lord, we would be. Oh my goodness, oh my goddess, we would have a good time. But and money is a great thing. I don't think it's a good salve. It's a great salve. It's great not to have to worry about your bills when you can. And but even if you don't have that, that's okay. But it shouldn't be the guiding force of your life to worry about money, because if you let money become the thing, then you miss out. Well, what am I supposed to be doing besides looking for cash? And sometimes if you do the work, the money will come. Sometimes you don't do the work, you try the work, and the money never comes. But if you're being positive and you're putting toward the effort and you're being objective, then you can eventually reach the goals that you have and be able to take care of those problems. Um, because I've certainly not let money stop me, or lack of money stop me. I'm always doing something. I'm always trying. I'm kind of like Scrat, the squirrel out of Ice Age. I'm always trying to push a nut up the hill, or digging it up out of the ice, or I'm going to try. The old saying. There was a pile of horse manure and a little boy digging in it with a shovel, and they said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, with all this, there should be there's has to be a pony in here somewhere." And that's where I'm kind of at. I'm kind of like I'm digging for the pony. Um, Now, the person I was just speaking of a little while ago, um, they were so creative, but they got so taken over by negativity, that they would just strike everybody, all their friends. I mean, he really just was so wrong. And the angrier he would get, the more he would strike at people. Then the anger he would get because it didn't work or it didn't do what he wanted, you know. And then he would strike again. It was just like a scorpion strike, strike, strike. So, and at the end, he just died an angry, bitter person. So his soil was a little poisoned. Um, and there are so many energies out there that are, you know, when you think about the dimensions over the earth, they are created, come from the poles. The energy comes down. If you think of the earth, here's the earth. There's an outer aura basically for the earth, created from its third eye, basically the core, the magma, which that's the earth's third eye, really. And the energy that vibrates from the center, from that heat churning and churning, that molten iron, that molten metal, molten rock, that circulating creates a force field, creates the energy electromagnetic field. So that energy has to come out somewhere. So it comes out the poles and it goes around and makes an aura of energy around the earth. Well, that's the fresh energy. It comes out from the poles and it goes on the outer. And as the energy that has come out gets a little older, it's magnetized. So it begins to pull down. And it pulls back down. It came from the magma, it came from the center of the earth. So it begins to be pulled back down toward the center of the earth through being magnetized. So as that energy comes down and seeps into the earth, like, you know, the leaves seep into the earth and become oil, the old energy seeps into the earth and goes back down to the center of the earth and then vibrates again, gets cleansed, and recycles. So the earth is continually cycling its aura, and its third eye is the center, basically, the heart. And the newer energy, you know, the fresher energy is at the top. The darker energy, as it begins to degrade and seep back into the earth, there's a lot of things like, say, like what we're doing right now. All the energy you're putting out this year, you know, it sloughs off and that energy is put out there, but then it begins to get a little deeper, and then there's new energy put out all the time. So the older energy begins to magnetically pull down. And so in that energy is consciousness. You know, like the energy that whatever you're putting out right now. In a year, that energy, you just put that out. That energy stays in the vibration, in the layers, in that electromagnetic field called dimensions. So as it starts to seep down, there's consciousness, there's beings, there's people, there's thoughts, there's feelings. And that stuff becomes the darker energy. That becomes a different kind of thinking darkness. And when you see shadow people, sometimes it's what they are. Sometimes thinking consciousness, thinking fluid, thinking. Sometimes they're used to be people. Sometimes they weren't. Sometimes they're remnants or sparks off of old consciousness, and those are a different kind of darkness. And so there's some that gets into some of the more um, stranger, more frightening looking darkness in the life of everybody. Um, so a lot of old consciousness is darkness. And so you have, you know, and when you have people doing magic and things like that, sometimes they pull out some of that old consciousness. And that stuff can be malignant. Sometimes it can be positive, but a lot of times it's just old thinking stuff. It's hungry. It hadn't quite gotten to eating fresh energy, in a while. So then you bring it up and it goes, oh, a meal. So that's one reason it's hard for people to do old magic spells and things like that. You better be careful because you may encounter energy that it just sees you as food. Not because it's evil, it's natural, it's hungry, and you're exposing yourself to something maybe you shouldn't do. Um, and then there are people who do energy and magic in a positive way, and that builds energy, but it also puts consciousness out there. And you just have to be careful of the give and take. There's a lot of things it'll take, right? And if you're willing to give, it'll take. And you have to also know how to go through life and guide yourself so that you're not um, being open to other energies or darker energies that you shouldn't. And then there's people who do a lot of positive, happy things and live happy lives, but then they have to encounter a lot of darkness. People magnetized coming, that are drawn to your energy. It has nothing to do with you. It's just they see your energy and they want to eat you, or they want to use you, or they want to abuse you, or they're drawn to that, like a light on a foggy street. And actually, in the dimensional layers, when you get to the deeper dimensional hallways, spirits don't always see other spirits. They just are in that fluid, moving through that dark matter. And then if your third eye is on and they see that looks like a lamp post in the fog. And so you've got to figure out what you want to draw and what you feel like is appropriate um, for you in this world, and you have to know what you're doing when you do metaphysics. Um, and in other religions, they do a lot of things that are strange that I don't think are necessarily positive. But it's what they're saying is positive, but what they're doing is not, to me, in my opinion. So, we're still functioning in a world where people think it's all right to eat the blood and drink the blood, drink the blood, eat the body of their savior to get them in there. Well, that's sacrificial. You know why? But the energy of that consciousness, um, and that's just my opinion. Uh, I don't need that to talk to that consciousness. That consciousness is not in a body. I don't have to eat the body or kill the body to eat it. Um, and that comes from old sacrificial stuff. And it's still modern sacrifice, even though it's symbolic. It's still that kind of thing. But it's not where when I was in that kind of thing. That really was weird to me, because then when I would go back to the church I came from, and it's not a slur towards certain people or Christians or anything like that. It's just in the circumstance I was in. Um, there were a lot of songs about blood. Are you washing in the blood? The blood of the lamb. There was a lot of sacrifice. And even though that sounds sweet and it's to be able to accept that energy, you have to kill it and eat it and drink it and wash in it. And that comes from ancient ways that a lot of people don't do anymore. You know, um, the to me, I would go, oh well, the Christ is a living energy. It's not a dead thing to eat. He's not dead for you to eat. That consciousness is not that kind of thing. And in other beliefs, they have some very strange things they do like that. And so then when they think that metaphysical people are strange, I'm like, well, we don't do that. You know, um, we pay homage to different energies and things like that, but we don't necessarily have to have that. And the modern metaphysics, depending upon, and two, it depends upon what group you're in as well as anybody. You know, it's how you choose to function and worship and do in your life. And in my older life, I go for the positive. I feel connected to the consciousness. I feel, you know, I try to be positive. Life isn't always about letting you be positive, but I try to, in the end, I try to always override it and go for positive as much as possible. But I'm an old tough customer. I'm an old sea cracker. You know, I'm an old leather pouch. I'm old and tough. And but you know, I believe in standing up for yourself and doing that. But I also believe in, if I can't say no to something, then I'm saying yes. And there's a lot of things in my life that it's just not coming into my life. I don't care who wants it to come into my life or whatever. I've just gone through that where I had to say no to somebody I really cared for. And it was very hard. It was very, very hard. But not so hard for me, because no, you know. But I know what's right for me and what my compass, what I think is ethical for me. And they're still trying to find their way. So yeah, they can't float their own boat. They definitely can't run my ship. So in life, you also have to be the gardener. Sometimes to make the rose bush bloom better, you have to cut the old limbs off. So if you're so positive that you can't say no, or you can't stand your ground, or you can't keep things from happening that shouldn't happen, then that's a problem, because you're being so positive that you think standing up for yourself is negative, or saying no to something that shouldn't happen. That's not negative. That's stopping. You have to keep the wolves out to keep you and yours safe. Sometimes you have to keep the wolves out, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you have to be firm, if you have to stand for it, and even if it's you have to give your life for it sometimes, that's not negative. That's if you're doing it for the right purpose and the right reason, but you have to be objective. Um, there's so many people will look at, there's people right now that do weird and crazy things. And there are so many people who would follow those people to the end of the earth, even though they're doing things they shouldn't. And those people feel like it doesn't matter, and you got to be careful about losing yourself. And if something's right, it's right. If something's wrong, it's wrong. There are some things that are gray. And when I was young, I always thought black and white, black and white. Well, no, 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 no. There's plenty of gray. There's plenty of in between. There's plenty of have to give and take. But, before you pick up a stick to whack somebody on the head with it, you have to make sure all options have been followed. and you're trying to be as positive as possible. But then at certain points, if you have to pick up a stick and chase off whatever, do it. You have to do what you feel like is right, but be realistic. And there is, I know a lot of people in voodoo, and there's a lot in voodoo that's very positive, and some of it, it's not for me. Some of it's not for me, but it's very positive. And then there's some, they believe in positive and negative evil. They're like, well, if it's bad, but it's good for you, then it's okay. And they have their own explanation of it, positive evil. And so, it's a whole different thing. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's beyond my scope sometimes. There are metaphysical people I've seen that make decisions I wouldn't make. And um, and I'm sure they think I'm a crusty old cracker. Sometimes because, you know, they pull things that they shouldn't pull, and I have, I will push you away. I may push you away with a going away gift, but I'll push you away. And then it's your choice, if I mean, it's something you can go do something elsewhere, just stay away from me. And as an example, there are people in the past, there's somebody in Pensacola who just swears, swears that, excuse me, I gotta adjust myself, swears that I guess they think I'm intimidated by them. Honey, this person could get them wet. Their energy out of a wet paper bag if I helped. If I tore the bag for them. But I just didn't have anything to do with them. They were rude, so I didn't have anything to do with them. And I keep hearing back, oh, he put a spell on me. And it's like, no, I saved those for special people. But he keeps saying bad things, and I thought, well, my office is open if you want to come and see me, you know. And if you want one, I'll definitely put you on the list. I'll make sure you get, if you want for Christmas, you want to be zapped. But I don't do things like that in metaphysics. I do things like to protect my loved ones, protect my people. And usually what I do is I just bind things away. Go away from me. Leave me alone. This is what I got to do. You're trying to stop me from that, or you're irritating me because you're not getting something out of me. Or they're jealous, or they're weird because they're not getting up their butt. So, you have to, even if you're positive, you have to put up with negative all the time. And the thing is you have to keep yourself from going, all right, I'm going to destroy them because you're angry. You have to never do anything in anger. Pardon me. Always let your anger pass, then make decisions. Then, if it's imminent and there's nothing you can do, you know, you have to stand your ground and put up with whatever and try to give as positive a defense as you can. But then sometimes you just can't, and sometimes you just have to fight, and sometimes you have to win if you can. You can't let negativity win. It's very easy for it to do so. And when you live a life where you try not to be dark inside, um, but I think most of us know, that dark part of ourselves in our soil, in our soul soil. You know, we every second that happens in our life is recorded. So every bad thing that's been done to you, every hurt, every bad word, every hit, every evil intent thing done towards you, we remember it. You may not remember it in your third eye, going, oh, I remember that. But we store it. It's stored in our system. And when we die, it downloads you. It goes, so it's all there. But the first reaction you'll have is out of pain, and you want to strike. You want to strike with all that anger, with all that hurt, with all that pain. You want to strike. But real power comes from control. And you have to go, do I really want to do that? And then it can be like getting in a tar pit. You get pulled into the tar. So you have to, again, slowly process before you react if you can help it. You may have arguments and fights and things like that, blah, 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 blah. But you have to take those out of the equation. You have to go, what is this person really trying to make me do? What am I trying to keep myself from doing? You don't want to go after somebody with a blowtorch. But if you learn to control your temper and you put all those things compartmentalize them, then if you need that to help you, then you have it. It's in storage, to help you if you've got somebody's trying to break into your house and you've got to protect your children. Don't let fear take over you. Let anger take over you. I had a home invasion, and this person, 6'5", it just huge guy, huge, pushed his way into my house, and I was so mad. When he got in, I thought he's gonna kill me, and he could have cracked me like a nut. I heard myself I felt myself blow up like a puffer fish. I was so mad. And I started hollering at him. I can't tell you what I said. I just, I'm sure a lot of it's not printable, but or repeatable on radio. But I had a big closet in the thing in the hallway, and he was hiding in the closet. He wanted me to call the cops. I called the cops, and they came and got this guy out. And he's like, "I'm coming, I'm coming." But he wanted to get out of the house, But I had that anger stored and was able to use it. And what would have normally probably terrified me and froze me in fear and made me a victim, made me a victor, And I was sitting there calling my cousin, talking to her, blah, blah, blah. I was going, they're getting him out. He said, at gunpoint, he's late, he's on the car. And I thought I was going to die. And I thought the person that was in the house with me was going to die, the lady I used to take care of, Judith. And I really was bowing up to protect her and myself because I thought we would be dead. And so you have to use your anger. Anger isn't a bad thing. It's just that if you use it to hurt in the wrong way, it can be. If you can control yourself, it's like a laser. And you can use it for positive effects. The positive thing, the man didn't get hurt. We didn't kill him. Because if I'd had a gun, I probably would have shot him. I actually didn't have my gun in. Because I had PTSD. So, I had to use my head. I focused and used my energy in a way that ended up in a good response for both of us. He wasn't dead. We weren't dead. But your anger can get so out of control, and that darkness inside us, that all those memories, all that anger, it makes decisions for us sometimes. And that's where you have to control and make the decisions. You don't let it make the decisions. The impulse. The someone hit me and jumped and strangled me, so I'm going to jump on, hit somebody in the head with a brick, or, you know, um, you have to be able to control that. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that it can be overwhelming. You can be overwhelmed by anger in a way that's destructive to you, where, um, you're not doing any good for yourself or anyone else. And I've been a victim before. I don't want to ever be a victim again. And if somebody ever tries something else on me, they'll find out. It's not a good idea. And but I do it as positive as I can, and I give everyone every opportunity. But at a certain point, they meet my anger point. Um, but I don't let it run my life. My father was 6'4", terrible temper. I have a terrible temper. But nobody gets to see it. They just think I'm just kind of a boring old dude until something happens. But I'm kind of one of those you want in an emergency, because I will function during an emergency. I'll fall apart after it's over if I'm going to be nervous after it's over. Because I know if I fall apart when it's happening, I'm going to be useless. So, but we all have to kind of be warriors, but you can be positive warriors. Um, but you have to understand your positivity and your negativities. You have to be objective. Everyone has it. Everyone has them. It's just kind of like yin and yang. It's we bring it in with the DNA, reincarnated DNA that we've gotten from thousands and thousands of people. Each of those people are in us. Their memories are in us, and we're fighting against their impulses as well as ours. And we're developing new impulses, and then we have their old impulses to consider and deal with. And it's I try to think of, if I think of my third eye, and I think of my energy and the way the third eye turns on and the aura comes out the top, I think of it kind of like a seed, and the light of the world, the consciousness, the light of my aura is what feeds my roots. So I'm a continually blooming spirit, plant, if you want, but I am a spirit, a continually blooming spirit. But I tend to that, and you have to tend to that. You have to make sure that that is going in a positive way. Now, I have a sister who, she's 2 years older than me, but she was so spoiled. She never had to develop emotionally. She never could. She never could. So emotionally, she's like a 6-year old. She, if something doesn't go her way, she just pitches a fit. And it's very primitive, and she cries a lot because she gets mad. If something didn't go her way. Well, in life, very few things go in your way. If you're doing 10 things and 3 of those things go through good, you're doing good. But most people know how to deal with that and process that. And then people who are 64 years old still pitching tantrums and fits and wondering, why can't I get what I want? And I'm mad because I'm not getting what I want. That's, you'll waste your life doing that. You'll sit down and go, well, I'm not getting what I want, so why should I try? Well, you're not going to get what you want unless you try. And you may not get it, but try anyway, because you'd be surprised. I've known so many people who've hit the lotto basically in life, but they just didn't stop. That whether it was their drive or their physical effort or their mental or spiritual development. Um, but if you stop, you lose that momentum, and you have to start over again. But she would never she never could do empathy. She never could think of anyone else. And it's all about her. So she's still 64 years old, pitching 6-year-old tantrums sometimes because she doesn't get what she wants. And nothing was expected of her. And she's had a life where people have taken care of her all her life. Well, I'm so glad that I'm not like that because I had a hard life. I had a hard time. But I am kind of my own person. I can get out of my own way if I need to. But I have a lot of empathy. And I would have empathy when I was younger. I tried to have empathy for her, but she would take that as a this is the thing. You gotta watch out when people take that as a weakness because they go, "Ooh, you're there. What can I get out of you?" And that's because they don't want to create their own source. And that's always a good thing to say no to. Because it's a never-ending hole of never-ending hole of want. Want and need are two different things. And what you need, if you're realistic, you have to get what you need. What you want may not be what you need, so you may not get it. And I know a lot of people who are in a state of want, but they don't understand need. They don't understand the basics, or let's get stable first and then we'll see what we can do. Not that I'm great at that either. I try. But, like I said, I'm poor too, like a lot of people. So, but I've been blessed to be able to, the things I have, I really shouldn't have. I mean, I have a store. I really didn't have a way to start it. I've got it sustained, but I just finished an album that I'm working on. That was a whole. This is another thing. The part of if you see your soul as in your third eye as the seed, and the leaves of the plant going out into your aura. I want to create, so I wanted to create an album. I've been writing songs for 40 years. Didn't have a way. Didn't have a way. Couldn't find a way to get one done. Couldn't find anything to have anything put to music because it cost a fortune. And if you get someone to work with it, you can't get it done the way you want it for cheap. And I thought, I'm just gonna do it and put it out there. I don't know. I'll hum it. I'll do it. I'll do a cappella. I'll do harmonizing because my stuff sounded like old slave songs, old plantation songs, stuff I wrote from the 1800s. It's past life stuff. And we have a friend that he was coming over and came over for like Thanksgiving one time, a couple of years ago. So I got and I got, I'm gonna do some music. I'm just gonna put it out there. And he goes, I do music. And I had a musician brought to my house, magnetized to my house, because of what I was putting out. And I'd showed the universe, I'm going to do it regardless, because I was looking for it. And that's part of productivity. That's part of, I have the roots in my dirt, but I have the leaves going out to, the creativity, the vine. And the vine brought back, a person who wanted to do something like that too. And it turned into an extraordinary experience. And at 62, I've done an album. I don't have the money to do an album. We have an album. And it's 18th century songs put to techno music sometimes. Some of it. And there's some good ones. And hopefully, by October, September, October, we'll have those ready for videos and have them out or have them out on for purchase. But I didn't have the money to do that. I kept working it, and I got it. I've told this before. I do it just to see what happens. And I wanted a metal detector. I'm in Florida. I want to go metal detecting this fall. And no way to get a metal detector. But I looked at prices. And I thought, I can't really afford it. someone was giving that we knew had two metal detectors they didn't want, and they just were throwing them away. And they said, "You want these?" Boom. I practice sometimes. We need a new vacuum cleaner. I thought, well, I'll get us a new vacuum cleaner in a month or so. You know, new to us. Boom. They were getting rid of a vacuum cleaner. Now we have a Dyson vacuum cleaner. You know, and it's not the things coming to me are not. Like somebody used them and they're rotten and they're ready to be thrown away. They're perfectly great. They just didn't need them. But those kind of things, we needed the vacuum cleaner. I wanted the metal detectors, but I didn't need them. But I got them because I built up all of my energy so much. Because I do prayer in the morning, prayer in the evening, sometimes prayer in the day. I have specific ones that cover everybody and everything and that I deal with. And that energy keeps it going, keeps it going. And you're putting out a magnetism. Well, then when you start to put out thoughts, if there's something I want to see, I'll swear to you, within 6 or 7 hours, I'll see it on video. You know, I don't even have, it's like, because it's frequency. The TV and the internet frequency sometimes will pick up what you're thinking, and so I'll see what I've been looking for. Weird things. I test it all the time. It's fun. But and you have to be careful what you wish for. Make sure you're wishing for something positive, because you'll get it. You'll get the opportunity. And then if you wish something bad on somebody and it happens, you got to be careful, because that the things like magnetizing things positive to come, that kind of flows. Negativity, you have to build up. You have to keep it going. You have to, keep that frequency. And it's very hungry, and it can take up good space in your energy and eat up the good space. You're too busy putting energy on negativity. And, uh, but I'll swear to you, if I want to do something, I'll get it. The store, I was working somewhere else. I didn't have a way to get it. I didn't know how to get it. But I was leaving where I was at. And it just so happened I was able to get it. Now there are things with it, then you get other problems that come with, all right, once you get something, then you have to sustain it. And those things fall in place, you know. But then if I can tell if my magnetizing is working good, if my cycling is working good, because if I'm thinking something and it starts to happen without me having to physically type it in or physically go for it, look for it, then I know that my magnetism is working out of my aura. So if I need something, there have been many a time in my life I didn't have anything to rub together. No coins, no dollars, no nothing, and bills to pay. And I will tell you, out of the weirdest places, the weirdest angles, things will just happen, and I'm able to keep everything going. And if you live your life like that, that's like the way I feel like it when I'm in the ocean. It's the current comes in, the current goes out. When it goes out, you're sending out information. When it comes in, it's bringing you information. So you have to get the flow going, and you have to override your negative aspects, because we all have negative and positive aspects. You have to override your aspects and say, all right, this is what I really want from life, and pull it in, do the work. And then when it comes to you, you have to take advantage of it. Because if you don't, then, it's just wasted energy. And what I'm trying to do is I've got if I have a surplus of anything, I'm trying to get through them. I'm trying to work on things that I feel like, okay, I have that opportunity. I got to get it done because I have to move slower because after my attack, the arthritis is terrible. The body is pretty beaten, and I just move at a whole different snail's pace. But I've gotten a lot done for being a snail. I mean, I'm almost finished with my main old grandma's good old cookbook. I'm working on a psychic worm stitch. Those are big things that I've been working on. I'm about to start doing videos of cooking and stuff like that and put that show out. So it's taken me forever. But that's because I have to go at a slower pace. But nothing's going to happen out of sync for me. It happens at the time it's supposed to happen. So I got to where I got over the anxiousness of it because I just don't have a physical, healthy body that I can just jump up and go do these things or pay someone to go do. I have to do them myself. But then when they're done, I'm so happy with them and so proud. I'm just so happy when I get to do something. And again, I write books. I had no way to write a book, but I found people who helped me. Teal Gray and Sin Schrader Hill, and Deborah Winsmith, and I've had other friends who've helped. Now I know how to turn out a book. Now I'm working on Kindle novellas. Um, I'm working on a really good story, really good vampire story, 18th century stuff. I love it. It's down my alley. And I'm going, well, I'm a part of about 12 books. I have a podcast that that was strange how that came about because Teal was doing her show and she introduced me to Kat Hobson. And then all of a sudden I have my show. Thank you, Kat and Teal. And, and so I have all these books. I have an album. I have a store. And, I look at it and go, you know, I would have gone, how? But it's because I was ready for it. But I was willing to put the work behind it. And that's the thing. You gotta be able to put everything behind it and underneath it and to the sides of it. And you just can't let go. But you have to be objective. You have to make sure your attitude, your alignment, your third eye, your spiritual self, your spiritual ulterior motives, if you have any. Um, you know, you can have ulterior motives for yourself, like I'm going to do this because this is what I want to do. But you have to be careful about ulterior motives. That they won't work for other people. And I don't like to have um, I don't like to be around people with ulterior motives that are detrimental. I do want people, I don't mind if someone comes around me or wants to help me because it helps them. If it helps them, great. If it's to siphon off something that they think they see, then no, you know. But I will give them a little bit of my energy and a little bit to go forward. But if they become parasitic because they don't want to do the work, but they want something from you, then no. Because if you're not going to try for it and you're not going to work at it, you're not going to get it. And if you get it, you won't be able to keep it because you don't know what it took to get there. And, the fear of trying, the fear of the darkness, the fear of not getting what you want. You can't be afraid of what you're not going to get. You or what you do want. Some people are afraid of what they do want. That's a whole different chapter. Everything I want in my life, I can reach, I can do it. And I feel like for me, coming from who I am and my circumstances, and should have been dead 32 years ago, dropped on my head, talked to the dead, and everything that I have a lovely place to live on the water, on the waterfront. No way that could happen now. No way. We have lovely pets. I have love. I have people who care about me that I care about as well. Um, I've gotten rid of as many ticks out of my life as I can possibly do if they drain me or drain themselves. Um, and it's amazing, even if you don't have anything, people who try to take from you, just your whatever it is they sense about you. Yes, I have an energy, so they want to take from that energy, or they want to crush me, or they want to hurt you, or they want to, and it's not just me, it's other people. And you have to deal with that all your life. I just think it's we have predators in nature, we have predators in people, we have predators in spiritual sense, and I deal with all of it all the time. But that's because I'm living in the real world. I'm in the functioning world, whether it's the real world or not for some people. But I mean, in the world at large, I live as myself. And that is a threat to a lot of people. Or I knew somebody years ago who wanted to be around me, and then I found out they went, well, I want to be the best reader in the South. And I thought if I was around you, I'd learn something. And I thought, well, first of all, you have to get off your lazy tush, Gus, and do something. You can't think you're going to hang around someone and through osmosis get what you want. You have to work at it. And anything I've worked for. I've worked at it. And you have to develop your own skills. And in my case, some of my skills came to me because I got killed. I don't really quite suggest that. It's not easy. It's not. I mean, it's. I'm fine with the way it all turned out now, but it's not an easy way to do it. Go to school, learn, study, but work at it. But there are people who, no matter what you've got, or even if it's minuscule, somebody will want it. Somebody will want what you have and resent you because you're doing something they can't do. Well, they should find out what they do. But they don't want to do that. That's work. And that's scary because you have to go inside. It's not going outside, it's going inside. And sometimes when I'm depressed, I mean, the other week when I was not on the fifth or sixth day of the hiccups. Ugh, I mean, I know it sounds funny to say hiccups, but these weren't regular hiccups. These are the kind that will kill you. There was a pope who died from it at one point. Um, it's so painful, you know. I mean, when you get to the fourth and fifth day and it's so painful, and then after that, and try to sleep with hiccups and wake up with hiccups, and trying to lay down with a hiccup, and trying to breathe. I mean, at one point, it was stealing air from me, and I was just like a guppy, gulping for air. A guppy or a goldfish had jumped out of a fishbowl, and I passed out as like a tree. I just went whoop, and I woke up and I thought, "Oh, I'm alive." I had fallen in the bathroom, and I'd landed on my face, but I'd blocked. I my instinct, my hand went up and protected my face, or I would have really. And I thought, all right, where's my left hand? Where is my left hand? It's in the toilet. So, and I thought, well, yeah, this is kind of par for the course. lying dead. Maybe I'm dead. I'm dead in the toilet. My hands in the toilet. My face is on the tub, and maybe this is just the way it is. And I thought, yeah, I kind of knew my life would kind of end weird. So then I got up after I was able to get up and wash my hand off like a raccoon. Um, Anytime something bad happens to me anymore, I just don't see it as bad anymore. I just go, oh well, that's special. Next, you know, I got to move on past this. This was bad, but yeah, I lived, and I just keep focus. And you have to have your eye on the prize. And I could, because I'm in pain all the time. I could be a, no, I want to say it. I could be a crunch munchkin. Uh, I could be mean to people. I could take it out on everybody. I could be an ill demeanor all the time, and I'm not. I'm so used to it being bad that now it's normal. I'm used to the physical thing being bad. Took a long time to get over that. Now, the people around me, until I learned that, they would take it personal when they would see my face, not feeling good or whatever. So I try to stay away from people if I don't feel well. But people take it upon themselves and think that you're meaning it towards them, and it's like, no, I'm in pain. You know, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just in pain. But I try to make myself laugh, and I try to bring the light into my life, and the quickest way to do that is to laugh. And my cousin, if she were here, she would say, if it's really bad, I will be laughing a lot. And one time she accidentally hit me in the head with a rock. It's a long story. And it hit me in the temple. Right in the temple. Hard. She had a dog that would bring her rocks and she would throw them and she'd never glasses on. We were having a wonderful walk in the woods and she turned around and I was turned around and I turned around just in time to see her let go of the rock. And she thought it was going in the woods. She didn't have her glasses on. It hit me in the forehead. She thought she'd kill me. And she was screaming her head off, and I was standing there just, stunned. Terrible, terrible, terrible pain. And then I started thinking about all the things I'd lived through, and to be killed by my favorite cousin, having a great day, walking into by a rock her dog brought her to throw, and having her trying to explain that to my family. I started laughing my tail off. And my head was splitting. I didn't have medical insurance at that time, so I thought, well, I just have to go in, climb in bed. If I die, I die. But I got so tickled, I laughed for 3 days. And that's how I deal with things. So, and she would be so mad at me. She'd hear me laugh and she'd go, shut up! It's terrible. It traumatized me. And I said, I know, I can't stop. Because it was so funny. And I don't know how to explain those kind of things. But when it gets bad, I laugh my way through it. I laugh my way on the other side of it. And if something bad is happening, you can fall into that dirt and decompose. You know, um, the fact that 30 years ago, you know, one of the things that got me out of the hospital, I thought, ooh, my mother's gonna bury me in that ugly lime green polyester suit. I can't be buried. I don't want to be caught dead in that suit. No! And 'cause she would have. She had this horrible suit. And so that was that I laughed about that. Thinking, and it really would have it would have happened. And that would have been embarrassing. I thought, oh, I'll be buried in something forever that I can't ever get out of. I don't care. It'll look perfect when Jesus comes back, but not me. So I learned to laugh. I don't fall into my soil and deteriorate and decompose. I try to give nutrients and happiness and love and light to my soil. And I've had my times in my life. When I was in my 20s, I had my anger points. You get so abused, so it comes out. And I hated it. I hated it. I didn't like to be angry. I didn't like to feel to strike out at people. I didn't like that. I didn't like the way it made me feel. So I quit doing that. And I took control of my energy. And so my soul became healthy. And at that point, it wasn't healthy because I was a damaged person and I was damaging others. And so I began to feed it the nutrients it needed to grow healthy. And now, when somebody makes me angry, because it doesn't happen much, but like I said, a while back it happened, and I have to assess, all right, am I striking out or am I standing my ground? And I almost got myself striking out because they pushed the buttons they shouldn't have pushed. But then I caught myself and I went, no, no, they just need to go over there. It's not gonna happen. And I'm happy. I don't like to be angry and I don't like to be dark. I don't like darkness in my life. I don't like people who have produced a lot of darkness. I like people who laugh. And pretty much everyone I know now does. And I just hope that um, if you look at your life as a garden, you try to get the right flowers around you and surround you and the sunshine and the things in your life. And and you can be there to help them and when they're down and vice versa. But the best medicine for anything in life is to laugh. Even if it's terrible, laugh. Find something to laugh at. And it helps. But if you curl up in a ball and go in like a bulb and bury yourself in the dirt of hate and hurt, it's going to be a while before that bulb blooms. And then what kind of flower is that going to be? I know you may not like these analogies, but that's what I got today. You're a bulb. You're going to be a flower. What type of flower are you going to have in your life? No, yeah, but I'm serious. Look at it all as a garden. It's a result of what you plant and what you allow. Plants don't like to be yelled at. Plants don't like to be hurt. Plants don't like to be abused, and it affects them. So if you have those things in your life, wait them out. Figure out if you want to go into the darkness. If you, we all have the dark soil, but is it nutrient rich or is it has your life sucked all the nutrients out and it's a wasteland. You don't want to be a dried up twig. You want to be in full bloom. You want to be beautiful and vibrant and colorful and have a sweet smell and have love and creativity. And that to me is keeps me alive. Is creativity, things to do, and you know. And if I have somebody make me angry, I'll try to get over it. I'll go and put that in. I'll go do something. I'll go do something, because I think the worst thing to do is sit around and think. And especially when people do things where you can't respond to it, then you're sitting there. Don't get up and go do something. Go outside, do something. Go walk. Go touch something. Go look at antiques. Go do something fun. And try to compartmentalize. Let it go for a few days. Then think, how am I going to deal with this? Don't ever just strike out, because if you do, then you lose out. And you don't want to lose out. You want to grow, because if you're here for long enough, you you want to get past the basics, and that's part of the basics. And so we're coming very close to the end of this show. But, we need happiness, we need joy, we need understanding, we need confirmation, we need um, companionship. And if your companionship isn't great, find some it is. There's so many people out there that need love and understanding and communication, and you're not the only one, you know. And if they don't turn out to be the right thing, don't waste your time. Solve the limb, find what is right for you. You prune the rose bush to make it grow better. Prune off the wasted pest, the blights, the dead limbs. The people who don't know how to live their lives, so they're just clutching to you because maybe they think you know something, or you're just something to cling to, and that happens. And we have to go. I'm sorry. That's You need to figure this out, or you. But I can't. I can't do that. You know, I'll help you if I can, but if you're just clinging to me, I can't live your life. I have to live my life. And that's not being selfish, that's just everyone's got a lesson to learn. You got to do it, got to get going. Time's a ticking. And think about, there are people out there that are in their 20s, their teens, their childhood that won't make it past today. Every day you wake up is a new chance. Every minute you breathe is a day someone else doesn't have. Don't feel guilty about it. Do something with it. Get out there. Keep your energy building. Don't let the negativity around you um, take you down. Don't let it make you dig down and into the manure and into the darkness and the dead dirt and bring up flowers of thorns, or weeds. Be Nurture yourself. Make your universe healthy and happy and grow into a happy life. Try to bring happiness to yourself and to other people. So if you're happy, other people will be happy. And you'll always have a blight somewhere. And that can be a child, it could be a husband, it could be a wife, it could be a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, or friends. You can have a blight every so often that you can put up with. I've used to have friends that were blights, but I loved them. But I had to compartmentalize them so I didn't let them sink. If they sank their life, they didn't sink my life. But I was there for them if that's what they needed. So now we're coming to the close. I'm going to tell people, if you want to meet me in person, I live in Milton in my cute little tiny house that is very haunted. Uh, about 30 miles away from Pensacola. Now, my store is at the Pea Ridge Flea Market, space 29. If you look on Facebook on Mark Elliott, Elliott, Fultz, Fults, you can look on my Facebook. You can see any specials I'm running, whatever. I have my store. I'm usually there Fridays. I'm going to be there tomorrow from 11 till 4, 5, depending upon if the traffic's dying down. I'll go at 4. Um, Saturday I'll be there from 11 till 5. Sunday from 11 to 4. And my phone number and everything, you can call me if you want to come and get a reading. I'm doing readings for $20. Everyone's having a hard time making money, and you know, I'm trying to make it affordable for people, and I'm finding out that's helping. You know, it helps them and helps me, but people who really need that and can't do, I mean, I've done readings before for $150, and for some people that's cheap, and some people that's expensive. But for the work I'm doing right now, because I have other things to do and other things I'm doing, so this is a gift I'm giving. And so if you need to come and get a reading, I am doing them $20. You can also look at my number on Facebook, and I can do them by phone. I can do them here. And if, I help people with cleansing their home, spirits, ghosts, talking to their dead, you know, everything. And so, because I am a medium as well. So, I want to thank all of you who came today. And it is time for us to say adieu. So, to all of you out there in the dark, good night. Good night.